Here's your wrestling news for August 27th, 2022, and we're kicking off today with WWE SmackDown. As for weeks, Drew McIntyre has gotten the better of Roman Reigns. This week that didn't happen, though things started off well for the Scotsman, who defeated Sami Zayn in the main event of the show. McIntyre's celebration was short-lived as post-match he suffered a 4-on-1 beatdown from Zayn, the Usos, and Roman Reigns himself. The post-match angle seemed to build McIntyre up as an underdog, possibly foreshadowing him winning the Undisputed Universal Championship at Clash at the Castle 2022. McIntyre winning in the UK does make a lot of sense, as it's clear that Reigns' title reign is ready to come to an end for countless fans who have grown tired of his run on top. Whether McIntyre is the one to conquer the Tribal Chief like he did to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 36, that remains to be seen, but WWE is doing all they can to keep the Scottish Warrior looking like the possible next Universal Champion. SmackDown also saw an incredible showdown between Intercontinental Champion Gunther and Sheamus, all without the two coming to blows. That's not to say there wasn't any violence during the segment, as Ludwig Kaiser brawled with Ridge Holland and Butch, but Sheamus and Gunther stood in the ring for an intense stare-down. Neither man threw a punch or even spoke against the other, but neither Gunther nor Sheamus had to do that to electrify the crowd. While Sheamus isn't a fully fledged babyface, he has assumed a face role for this feud with Gunther, all without having to drastically change his character. The effectiveness of this feud is its simplicity. Sheamus wants to win the one championship he has yet to capture, and Gunther is the one standing in his way. The power of silence is brilliant in pro wrestling, and this week's segment was a throwback to the rare and powerful moments that can be created without a word. On this week's AEW Dynamite, Jon Moxley became the undisputed AEW World Champion, flattening CM Punk in mere minutes. Not only was it a surprise to see the match on Dynamite rather than at All Out, but Moxley's squashing of Punk, the heavy favorite going in, was also a surprise to audiences. In The Observer, Meltzer reports that a lot of factors caused AEW to change plans, and said that Moxley hated being the interim champion and the idea of there being two world champions. Meltzer also refuted the idea that the match was moved to free TV solely for a ratings ploy, but admitted that it was something AEW and Tony Khan had considered when making the decision. Speaking about All Out, it was noted that Moxley Punk 2 is the plan, and some in AEW have made it clear that they feel doing a pay-per-view rematch just 11 days later is a bad idea. Bad idea or not, that is the plan Tony Khan is going with, so we'll have to see if Moxley can keep his undisputed AEW World Championship when he steps in the ring with CM Punk next week. This week's Dynamite also saw Thunder Rosa announce that she is injured and will be unable to defend the AEW Women's World Championship at All Out. In her place, an interim AEW Women's World Champion will be crowned next weekend, but some are questioning just how injured Rosa really is. With reports of backstage heat with some top AEW female talent, it has been speculated that Rosa isn't injured at all, and that this is just to keep her away from TV while things simmer down in AEW. While speaking on Busted Open Radio, Thunder Rosa shared details regarding her injury to try and dispel this rumor, and said that she can't even walk due to the issues in her back. Speaking about a recovery window, Rosa said that she's not expecting to return for at least a couple of months, and claimed that those suggesting it's a work are trying to discredit her as an athlete and as a wrestler. Ultimately, people will speculate on Thunder Rosa's injury for as long as she's out, but the AEW Women's World Champion is sticking to her story that this setback is not a work. Rosa reportedly has heat backstage with Britt Baker, with the claim being that the two have been mortal enemies for years, as well as Jamie Hayter. For the latter, it said that Hayter has heat with Rosa after the champ broke her nose at AEW Battle of the Belts 3, and it's reported that Rosa hid in a bathroom backstage for fear of being attacked for real. Now, a new report from Fanbyte is shedding light on the situation that played out backstage following that match. According to the report, what actually happened was that Rosa sprinted from the ring and was nowhere to be seen, but was eventually found and told about Hayter's broken nose. It said that Rosa was apologetic after hearing about the injury before she went to a bathroom and locked herself inside, possibly not out of fear of repercussions, but because she was overwhelmed that she'd hurt her opponent. Whatever the true story is, Thunder Rosa isn't going to be defending her AEW Women's World Championship anytime soon, and may not be much more popular in the locker room when she eventually returns. Back to WWE, as in the summer of 2020, Renee Young finished with the promotion and has gone on to host a successful podcast and become a mom. With her husband Jon Moxley living it up in AEW, there's always been rumors that Young, now Renee Paquette, could join him working for Tony Khan. Yesterday, however, Paquette was spotted at WWE's Performance Center, and judging by the video posted by makeup artist Lena Zuniga, was ready to film something for the company. It's unclear what exactly Paquette filmed for WWE, or if this is a one-off appearance or a sign of a new agreement between the Canadian broadcaster and her former employer. When Vince McMahon confirmed his retirement, it was reported shortly after that many ex-WWE superstars were open to making returns with him gone, but it could be the former Raw commentator to be the next to make a comeback. Speaking of returns, Johnny Gargano returned to WWE during this week's Raw, 9 months after leaving the company last December when his NXT contract expired. There had been countless fans who had hoped to see Gargano join AEW and tear it up with the likes of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but that was never close to happening. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's reported that while there were some in AEW who were interested in the former NXT champion, Khan and higher-ups decided not to heavily pursue him. It's interesting that AEW didn't even make an attempt to sign him, as Gargano had spoken openly about wanting to face Omega and said that AEW's style seemed perfect to match his own. Perhaps if Khan had even pursued Gargano a little bit, he may have been more hesitant about signing with Triple H, but AEW's loss has proven to be WWE's gain. And we're ending today with WWE, as when the Wall Street Journal claimed that Vince McMahon had paid millions of dollars to cover up affairs with female employees, everything changed for the then WWE chairman. Not only would the claims ultimately force McMahon to retire, but not long after the initial article, it was announced that Netflix had canceled a series about the billionaire chairman. At the time, a source within Netflix said that shit's out of here, but that isn't the case anymore. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that WWE and Netflix are still collaborating on a project centered on the former chairman, with Chris Smith as the director. There's no word yet on when this project will see the light of day, but after everything that's happened over the past 2 months, the series will likely need an extra episode or two to document the end of McMahon's rule over wrestling. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.